Hey, what's up, everybody? This is an open discussion with C3 Films. My name is Chris, and this is.
Cheryl.
And today we're going to be doing a special version of our show. We don't normally talk about television series, but we're going to talk about the first episode of Loki today. So if this is something that you guys enjoy and you want us to do more of in the future, let us know, and we'll see if we can make this happen more often. But spoiler alert, we are going to be talking the details of the first episode. So if you haven't seen it, it's on Disney Plus. Go and check it out, and then come back and watch our video. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right into it. Um, I know. I feel like most people that I know are Loki fans, like fans of the character, despite the fact that he is a villain and an anti-hero or however you want to see him. A lot of people like the character, or maybe they just like Tom Hiddleston playing the character, but a lot of people have love for Loki out there. Are you one of those people?
I am one of those people. He's just fun. Cause, like, even, I know we talked about the Avengers. We have an episode for the Avengers, and one of my favorite scenes was between him and the Hulk. There's just a lot of things in there where, like, he's just not an all evil person, and they make that very clear in the Marvel series, in the Marvel universe. And I think that's one of the reasons why he's so likable, is because he's humanized. He has layers, and I think that's why he's such a lovable character.
Yeah, and that reminds me actually, potential spoilers for us talking about Infinity War and Avengers Endgame, because when you watch Loki, those scenes from those movies do appear in this episode. So we have to talk about it. Um, but yeah, like I was curious because I'm not really a Loki fan either, or I'm not really a Loki fan. I'm whatever with the character. I like seeing his interaction with Thor, but the character I'm just kind of like meh on. And to tell the truth, out of all of the shows, this one was the least one I was looking forward to. Yeah, I was like, yo, Falcon and Winter Soldier, bet, let's go. WandaVision, I was like, maybe, but it seems like it's gonna be House of M. I'll check it out. Loki, I'm just like, all I kept thinking to myself was the reason you guys had this scene in Endgame with him grabbing the Tesseract and escaping was to set up for a television show. I am so mad at you people right now. Why you used this movie to set up a television show? I did not need this, but I really enjoyed the first episode.
I have to say, like, out of the three new series that they put out, Loki is 100% my favorite one so far. And I was so pleasantly surprised because I didn't believe that they would do a very good job with it. I don't know why. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
just couldn't imagine what they would do with Loki's character, and like how they would go about doing it, because he died. He's already dead in the Marvel universe. So, like, what could this possibly be about? And I love, like, the whole idea behind it. I love the humor. The humor is just so, like, on point. It's just,
The humor's really
it
good.
reminds me of Joss Whedon's writing from the Avengers, and I'm like, this is perfect. This is Loki. This is like, and I think that's also why I'm such a fan of Loki, is because he's so easy to, like, make fun of, because he's always like, I'm powerful and I am awesome, and then, like, you just do like one thing to him, and then he just loses, and he loses in like such a funny way that it's just laughable. But then, like, he's still Loki after that. Like, he doesn't let it tear him down, and I think that's why, like, he's so great. For example, like in the movie, when, like, he's before the judge. I'm sorry, not the movie, the show. He's like before the judge, and then he was like, um, "I am guilty of," and there's like this long dramatic pause, and he's like, "This," and then, like, nothing happens, and he's just like, trying to do it, and it's like nothing happens. Like, it's just so fun to, like, build the Loki up as this powerful, powerful god, and then he's just a regular guy.
Yeah.
And that's why I like
No,
Loki.
Yeah, he's an adorkable like guy sometimes. Um, and one of my biggest questions with going to the show is how they were going to basically catch him up because this is a different Loki than the one we've seen. This Loki hasn't gone through all the changes yet. Um, so like how are they going to make it so that he's not just evil because he was just evil back then. And they do these cool scenes where it's just like, do you like hurting people? Let's talk about that. And the way to buy him not being so evil is to try to convince us that he actually does not like hurting people. Because how can you get behind a character that enjoys hurting people unless it's that type of show? But this is Disney; they're not trying to make that kind of show. So that's kind of like how they kind of redeem him in the eyes of the audience.
Yeah. Um, I also really liked the design of the show. I think it's clever how they decided to take him out of the time like regular timeline. It seemed like a little messy because of the fact that Doctor Strange has power to manipulate time with Infinity Stones, but in this show, it's also about time, but it's like a level above the like Doctor Strange power of manipulating time, which makes it a little bit more confusing. And then, so it's just it was a little bit hard to wrap my head around that. And then it was just interesting to see the Infinity Stones. Like there were a lot of Infinity Stones, and the clerk, the TVA clerk, is like, yeah, we just use them as paperweights because they like don't do anything in this realm, I guess.
Right. That was interesting to me because that was like so the first episode is kind of built behind breaking Loki down. Um and it's like he this was his like grand purpose. Like that's what he comes with grand purpose. That's his whole thing. But the Infinity Stones, the Tesseract, which is just one of six, and they have just a drawer full of them. They're in somebody's office drawer. And this is what he's been building his entire life to. And it's just like he is and it's just like it's so amazing because so when my friends and I sit down and talk about Avengers and we talk about the characters that have grown the most or the characters that have gone through the most, one of the characters that pop up for us is Thor, but by extension that also means Loki because we talk about how Thor basically loses his mother, loses his eye, loses his hammer, loses his people, and then loses his brother. Like Thor loses more than any other character in the Avengers universe. But also, so does Loki. Loki basically, and that's what they show him, and that's what I love that first episode so much because Loki gets to when he's trying to escape, he goes and sits down and he watches a recording of his life. And he sees past things he shouldn't have seen. He sees his mom die, which he even in that movie he got upset about. And so because he loved his mom. She taught him magic. And he sees he hears about Ragnarok happening and then he sees that when he finally decides to do the right thing, he dies. So that and then the Tesseract and all these stones that he's going for just being like paperweights in someone's office, it breaks down his entire understanding of what his life meaning is. And that's kind of it's a logical and very well written story reason to have that character make a drastic change in such a short amount of time, considering that in the timeline that we've seen so far, 2 or 3 hours ago, he was trying to take over Earth and killed a bunch of people with Thanos' army.
Yeah, it definitely like by design. I think out of all the episodes that have come out so far for the series, the first one is still by far the best. Like
Yeah.
the setup, just everything, establishing the characters, the world, where like the direction of the storyline, because your first question is always going to be like, where are you going with this? Everything is just set up so nicely in that first episode, and it's also the funniest, I think, in my opinion. Like, it was just very humorous.
The
There's
ticket, remember the ticket scene?
oh yeah, that was great. Yeah, definitely. He was just so against everything up until that moment. And even like the whole thing about like where he's like, this is a mistake, I'm not supposed to be here, and the next thing we hear is like the announcer voice of the video that plays like on like loop, and it's like, you're probably thinking
I'm not
this was a
supposed to be
mistake.
here.
I'm not supposed to be here. And it's like this Southern Belle accent, and like just like the whole thing of it, like the whole thing about TVA is that it's supposed to be like this super advanced place, but everything is old school retro technology, like box
Yeah.
televisions and like analog tape and stuff like that, and like it looks like it's right out of like the 80s, and it's just so cool. Like, it's just a cool idea to like have that concept being like futuristic and stuff. It kind of reminds you of stuff in like Star Wars, right, where it's like made in the 70s and their futuristic stuff looks like old school stuff to us when we look at it like nowadays, because it still looks so primitive to us, but it's actually in the future from now, if that makes sense.
Yeah. No, yeah, it's almost kind of a thing of like everything gets a return. But I think stylistic wise, like that is a cool aesthetic, and that feels fun and interesting to see. Um, so yeah, I really like that aesthetic too. Do you know, by the way, who does the voice of the television, that little character that appears on the TV?
I don't. Who does voice?
Her name is Tara Strong, and that's the same voice that does Batgirl in the Batman animated series, as well as a bunch of other cartoon voices. She's a really famous voice actress, so it's kind of cool that they got her to come into this show and do a voice actor, to do
Nice.
a voice to act alongside Loki.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, like I I'm like I'm very pleasantly surprised by how much I like the show. I was surprised like you about the comedy. The comedy caught me off guard that it would be like that funny to me. Um and I wonder if it's one of these things where because I went in with no expectations that the show could do nothing but impress me, that which is why I ended up just being so pleasantly surprised. And Owen Wilson, who would have thought Owen Wilson?
I see. I think that's actually the only thing that I don't like about Loki is I wish they picked
Real,
someone else. I mean,
you don't like Owen Wilson?
I don't not like Owen Wilson, but I just wish that they I feel like they had an opportunity to diversify here and they didn't take it.
Oh, I see.
That's the only
Well,
reason why.
they have their boss.
Cuz they had, well, yeah, but they had, I mean, when you have your main character being Loki and you can't change what Loki has already been established to be.
That's
So
true.
make the co-star someone else that you could build up, right?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I mean, and especially since they're hunting Loki, like you find out at the end of the episode, like you guys that haven't seen past episode one, we're not gonna say much, but if they're hunting Loki, then Loki that they're hunting can also only look a certain way, right?
Mhm.
So what Cheryl's saying is that absolutely true. Like that is kind of a missed opportunity. But that being said, I don't hate Owen Wilson. Like I enjoy how because Owen Wilson always came across to me as like a comedic actor. So it's kind of interesting to see him play the straight man to Loki being unintentionally funny. So it's kind of like this almost kind of like bad cop, good cop scenario. Um, and like these two just having to like learn to work together and get along. But yeah, like overall, I just I'm enjoying how those two play off of each other. And so that's what made that first episode very fun. And then even that whole little rewinding thing that they have where he had the collar and they just keep rewinding people back. I was just like, when that woman was messing with him at the beginning of the episode, and he's just like, "Oh, I'm gonna kill you." I'm like, "Yo, you need to stop messing with this man because the show is called Loki, and I don't even remember your name. So you might need to really start being nicer to this guy."
I like
So
her.
I loved it when he just like got the collar on her and was just like, "Mm."
Yeah. I think my favorite joke was when that guy's like, he gives Loki a stack of paper and he was like, please sign and verify that this is everything you've ever said.
What?
Also sign this.
I love how that moment Loki sees the picture, the paperwork, and he's just like, "Let me make sure I don't say anything else now." Like, let me shut up.
I like how he also just goes with it and he signs it like, okay.
Yeah, right? I mean, what else are you gonna do? He can't use his magic. He can't do anything.
Yeah.
Um, I love how confident he is. Like even like in these moments when he's in like talking when what is it? He's in the trial or whatever, and he's talking to the lady and basically saying that is he guilty of being better than them or whatever it is that he says. That she's like, "Are you guilty?" And he's like, "I haven't done anything. And the only thing I'm guilty of is blah 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 blah. And now I'm gonna show you what's happening." Like he's trying to use his magic, and they all just laugh at him. Like this poor
Yeah,
man,
exactly.
because he is a god. He is a god. He is not supposed to be tramping around with mortal men. This is a man who a couple of days ago literally said that an ant has no quarrel with a boot. So he has no love for normal people.
That's true. I wish they put that in the beginning. But that, I mean, that's so Loki. That's why I like Loki so much, is because he's always confident. Even when you tear him down, he still finds some way to like still be Loki, and again with the layers. So there was this one part I don't. So I wrote it down and I remember it, but I don't remember the context of the scene where there's like a slow motion shot of Loki being like slapped in the face.
Oh,
And
yes.
I just remember that being so great, and I literally wrote down. This is the first thing I wrote down. Take note, Snyder. This is how you do slow mo scenes.
Well, and what you know what it's not even true slow motion. What ends up happening is that he gets hit with like this time stick and his body gets slowed, but everybody else is still moving at regular speed. And what she says to him is that you're now moving at 1/16th speed, but feeling all that pain in real time, which is really messed up if you think
Yeah.
about it. It's like you punch someone in the face, and it takes like 5 minutes for them to get finished with the motion of being punched in the face, but the entire time they're feeling the pain of being punched in the face, which in reality, that initial pain would come in an instant, and then you would just have the lingering pain. So
Mm-hmm.
he gets that instant pain for 5 minutes or so, and then gets the lingering pain afterwards. It's kind of messed up.
Yeah, and I love how all of this world building is established in 40 minutes.
Yeah,
Like all of this is just all done in one episode, and then from then forward they could just move on with doing whatever they want to do with the show, because they've
yeah, that's
already
true.
like just set up everything for a new path.
There's still some things that they can that I'm sure they'll expand upon, like the timekeepers and who they are, what they do specifically, and how they look. We see these statues of them throughout like the time variant agency. But yeah, like I thought that this was like very cool that they got a lot of the world building out of the way while still making the first episode seem interesting. Because when you do, it's a good example of how you can do world building in a comprehensive way that doesn't just feel like exposition. Like you can tell us information, but still make the acquisition of that information come across as interesting. So I'm glad that they did that, but there's still plenty to expand upon. Like I don't know much about like the timekeepers, but I also don't know much about how do time variants like happen, because the only reason that Loki happened was because the Avengers messed up, which is why he even says, "I think the Avengers are guilty. You should bring them here." But um, yeah, how do other time variants occur if not for no realizing or meeting like somebody that can time travel or can break time, so that's why they step out. So I think that I think that's something that's pretty interesting. It's also funny that he's not even the first Loki to be a time variant. That's
Yeah.
also funny.
Repeat offender. um, but yeah, I think that they're probably going to explain more on that stuff in the future on like future episodes. It
Is
doesn't
this
feel like
series
a lot of it is like hinted, and then I think they're definitely going to expand on it later.
okay? Is this series, would you say, do you remember if the series is going to be like 6 episodes like Falcon and the Winter Soldier, since it's like an hour long? Like they're
Seems
like
like,
40,
yeah,
50-minute episodes.
I don't know for sure, but that is what they did with WandaVision and
The WandaVision was half an hour and it was like 9 episodes.
oh,
So WandaVision was the longest one.
hmm, don't know. No clue. I
Okay,
just assumed that there would only be six.
gotcha. Yeah, I mean, I'm impressed because even so they have that one shot where they you see the like, kind of the futuristic city from the window, and it doesn't feel like bad television CG, which we're all used to because we've watched those sci-fi shows on Sci-Fi Channel or old Stargate episodes and stuff like that. Um, so we've seen like kind of not great CG. So it always impresses me how much money Disney and Marvel are willing, or Star Wars, whatever, willing to like devote to these television shows to give them kind of a movie feel.
I mean, I honestly I think that is kind of the direction that people are going in these days, especially with the pandemic. But you know, like a lot of this was planned before the pandemic. But I just think that it seems like people are moving more towards watching series versus movies.
Yeah, yeah. And for me personally, I love movies, but I usually end up liking series more, whether it's an anime series or live action series. And it's usually just because it feels like you can have a lot more realistic progression of characters and character growth over the course of an 8 episode season of 1 hour long episodes versus a 2.5 hour movie that takes place over the course of like a day or two. Um, like this first season of Loki, or this only season of Loki, could literally be like 6 months,
Mm-hmm.
of time that passes while these things are happening.
Mm-hmm.
Or it might be a week. But the point is that I find myself really connecting with series more as well.
There's just more time. Can you imagine if Justice League, like you know, if Snyder was given the opportunity to do Justice League as a series as opposed to a 4 hour movie? I think I would enjoy it more.
I almost think that's all kind of what they wanted to do. But to tell you the truth, if he made a Justice League series, I'd watch it.
I think it would be a hit.
Yeah, right.
He'd have all the time in the
So,
world to do everything he wants.
right. Yeah, no, exactly. So that might be something to look at in the future. But yeah, so I don't know. I At the end of the day, I enjoyed the first episode. I've seen the next 2 episodes. There's 3 episodes at the time of this recording, and I'm still liking the show so more. So I'm still liking the show as I keep going. I agree with you. I feel like the first episode still was the strongest, but the next 2 episodes have not. I have not lost interest.
I'm actually kind of upset about how the third episode ended, and I have to wait until I guess I have to wait until Friday to watch it because that's when I watch it with my boyfriend. But I'm
Yeah.
upset about the cliffhanger in that episode. But we'll see. I
It's
get why you don't watch things week by week, but the reason why I watch things week by week is because I don't enjoy spoilers. So.
I mean, that's fine. I usually stay off social media, so it's usually pretty easy for me to avoid spoilers. Um, for Cheryl's making reference to the fact that I normally don't watch shows week to week. Like I wait for shows to be completely done. The only reason she got me to watch this much of Loki was because we were going to be talking about it on this show. So that's why I watched the first episode, and I was watching it with friends, and we couldn't just stop at the first episode, so we watched the next one. Um, so
Join
yes,
us, Chris.
I probably
Join
will actually
us.
wait unless she wants to keep talking about it. I will probably wait until all the episodes are out before I finish. But I have to say that there is something nice about being able to engage in conversation with a show as it's coming out. So I
Hmm.
will give you that.
I mean, like my strategy is watch it week to week and then watch it again all over again after they're all out.
That's not a bad one either. So yeah, but that's basically everything that I have to say about the show. Is there anything else that you wanted to say before we wrap out?
Nope. I'm just excited to watch more.
Okay. Well, yeah. Have you guys seen Loki? What did you guys think about it? If you're interested in hearing more of us talking about Loki in the future, go ahead and just leave us a comment. Let us know that you want us to do that, and we'll make it happen. And if you want to see us do this with other shows, then we'll do that too. But be sure to check out us on Twitch and to see our full segment of how we talk about these shows and these movies. And make sure that you guys give us a like, share, and just subscribe on our YouTube channel and let us know what you guys thought about this segment. But even if you don't, though, I have been Chris, and this has been
Cheryl, and we will see you all next time.